Everyone was smiling, wine glasses were clinking, candles were flickering, and waiters were gliding past with perfect ease when I stood up and said, "I've been promoted to Director of Operations." Applause. Cheers. My boss grinned. My husband squeezed my hand. Then, just as I'd predicted, my sister gasped, clutched her stomach, and dramatically collapsed to the floor. "Oh dear, not again," someone whispered. Chaos erupted. Chairs scraped. A waiter dropped a glass. My mother cried for water. My father was unbuttoning his collar like he was about to faint with empathy. And me. I reached calmly into my bag, pulled out my phone, and connected it to the speakerphone via Bluetooth. "Before we call an ambulance," I said, slowly rising to my feet, "I think it's time we all watched this." The room went silent. I pressed play, and there she was earlier in the parking lot, laughing with her boyfriend, holding an iced latte, saying, "The moment you announce it, I'll completely melt. She's going to steal the show for the rest of the night. Just wait. My name is Margaret, and wherever you're watching this, stay with me." Have you ever been so psychologically manipulated that you started to doubt your own joy? Have you ever felt your sparkle dimmed by guilt over other people's performances? I used to pity her mysterious illness, the attention she received, and the recurring emergencies that only seemed to appear when I was on the verge of success. But not anymore. This time I'm ready because some women fake illness and some even document it. My sister was still writhing on the floor when the video ended. No one applauded. No one expressed surprise. They just stared as if they were finally seeing the truth they had ignored for years. Slowly, she opened her eyes. "My God," I said, "what is this reality? Welcome to it." While everyone stood there, too stunned to speak, I sat down, took a sip of champagne, and smiled at my promotion cake, because the only thing sweeter than success is serving a cold drink. Silence hung around us like a thick fog. My sister blinked, still dramatically sprawled on the floor, as if she'd forgotten how to move her legs. But the lights she'd been craving had suddenly gone out. Everyone's eyes were glued to the screen. No tears now, no pity, only disgust. The video had ended just moments before, but its echo was louder than any scream she could feign. She sat up slowly, brushing imaginary dust off her elegant blouse, her voice trembling. "I was joking," she murmured. "Did you really record me?" "This is disgusting, Margaret." "No," I said quietly, leaning back in my chair. "What's surprising is how I pretend to collapse every time I succeed." My mother stepped forward, still clutching the napkin she'd snatched in a panic. "Honey, was that really it?" "Yes, Mom," I said. It was before dinner, before she parked in a handicapped spot she didn't need, and smiled all the way inside. My sister's boyfriend looked like he wanted to hide under the table. He didn't speak. He didn't have to. He was in the video too, laughing and encouraging her. He said that drama was part of her appeal. "You have to time it right." She tried to stand, swaying as if she were still in character. "People here know I've had chronic issues for years," she said, her voice strained. "It's not all about you." I laughed then. Not bitterly, just because I was done. "You're right. I said this night wasn't supposed to be about you, but you made it." I turned to the table of executives at my company, men and women, who were watching the whole scene with rapt eyes. My boss raised his glass and said quietly to Margaret, "Because you always come prepared." Some of the guests laughed. My sister's face paled because, for once, her drama hadn't stolen the spotlight. It had given it to me. She stormed out minutes later, dragging her humiliated lover behind her like a broken doll. As soon as the door closed behind them, the room fell silent. Laughter returned, wine was poured, and my father, who had remained silent and suspicious for years, clinked his glass against mine and said, "I'm sorry we let her do this to you for so long." I nodded, fighting back tears, because it was the first time a family member had ever said such a thing. But this was just the beginning. She didn't know yet, but that video was only one of many. She blocked me the next morning. Texts, social media, even emails, a full-blown digital tantrum. Just what I expected from someone whose favorite trick had been exposed. But blocking me didn't stop what happened next. Because the video hadn't just exposed her, it had revealed a secret. I started receiving messages, quiet and private, from people I hadn't spoken to in years. My cousins, childhood friends, even an ex-boyfriend of hers. They all said the same thing. I'd seen the clip. I'd been waiting for someone to have the courage to expose her. They told me stories. Lots of stories. How she'd faked a panic attack at a baby shower because all eyes were on her. How she'd pretended to faint at my grandmother's memorial service because I'd been asked to read the eulogy. How she'd told her old friend's fiancé that she was experiencing early symptoms of multiple sclerosis, just to stop him from proposing. I sat on my couch scrolling through the messages, each one revealing a new facet of the truth. With each message, I stopped feeling like the guilty party in her story. I began to feel like the historian. I was tired of letting her dictate my actions. I collected the messages, the stories, and the screenshots, not to publish them or expose her, but to protect myself, because I knew her next step wouldn't be an apology, but revenge. And indeed, days later, I received the call. It was my mother. Margaret, your sister is telling everyone that you edited the video and that it's fake. I closed my eyes, letting the anger rise and then subside. Of course, she was doing that. Truth had no place in her world, so she colored facts until people believed what they saw. Do you believe her? I asked quietly. My mother was silent for a moment. Then she said, no, not anymore. That silence between us, years of being accused of being overly sensitive, was finally broken. Good, I said, because I have more of that. She gasped. Margaret, are you going to destroy it? I looked at the file folder on my desk. Memories of carefully preserved chaos I hadn't caused, but had always been asked to fix. No, I said. I'm not going to destroy it. I'm going to let it destroy itself this time in front of everyone. It wasn't long before her version of events spread. She'd twisted it all. She'd set a trap for me. She'd always been jealous. I watched it all unfold. Chat groups were buzzing with comments. Distant relatives were suddenly liking her sad, cryptic posts. Old friends were returning to her, as if she'd never been out of touch in years. But this time, no one contacted me for my perspective because I'd already presented it on video and audio, with irrefutable evidence. And her usual outburst of anger was useless. No sympathy, no flowers, just deafening silence, which only fueled her anxiety. Then I texted my dad. I'm worried about Margaret. This obsession with hurting me isn't normal. My dad sent me a screenshot. She always flips things like this, he wrote. Are you okay? I replied. I'm not hurting her. She's just finally getting a sense of reality. And I was more than okay. I was focused because I had a plan. A mental health podcast, focused on mental health and family dynamics, had already contacted me. They'd seen the video, read the comments, and wanted me not to stir up controversy, but to expose the truth. Talk about how people like your sister are exploiting illness for profit. The host on the call said, your story is powerful. You're not alone. And I wasn't. Hundreds of women had messaged me since dinner, every single one saying the same thing. My sister did too. My mom was still pressuring me to apologize. I thought I was going crazy, so I agreed. When the episode aired, I revealed everything. The staged fainting spell at the scholarship award ceremony. The panic attacks that only happened when I was at my peak. The way my family always said, leave her alone, Margaret, don't make a fuss. But this time, I was the one making a fuss. Not with shouting, not with revenge, but with the truth. And even better, at the end of the episode, the host asked me, what would you say to your sister if she were listening right now? I paused for a moment, then said, I don't want you to change. I just want you to know that I'm not going to silently endure the pain for you anymore. And when the clip went viral, I finally stopped playing the victim because the internet doesn't forget. And neither do little sisters who learn to hold on to evidence instead of harboring resentment. I knew she'd show up eventually. And when she did, she wasn't carrying a bouquet of flowers. She was furious. She cornered me in front of a downtown bookstore. Ironically, I'd just finished signing copies of the podcast episode that had been published as an article. The line stretched all the way around the building. I waited until the last person left. Margaret, I whispered, her sunglasses still on despite the overcast sky. You need to stop this. I looked at her. I looked at her closely. She was falling apart. Her hair was pulled back tightly. Her lipstick was smeared. A designer handbag hung from her arm like an outfit that no longer suited her. I didn't say your name once, I said. You're the one who keeps making it about you. Don't play innocent. You've humiliated me in front of our whole family. No, I said, folding my arms. You humiliated yourself. I just started recording. She moved closer. So you think you're a hero now? Just because you got lucky enough to score. I said, my voice prepared. I'm not lucky. She scoffed. I've always been obsessed with control. You think that makes you powerful? I took a deep breath and said something I never imagined I'd say out loud. I don't want power over you. I just don't want to live under your control anymore. She blinked. For the first time, her lips didn't move because it wasn't about the video, the dinner, or the podcast. It was about finally saying what I'd kept silent for years. That her mess wasn't my fault. That her pain wasn't a reason to erase mine. That I could love her from a distance where she couldn't hurt me. You've destroyed our family, she whispered. No, I said. I just refused to let you continue destroying me. She had no reply. She turned and walked away, and for the first time in my life, I didn't follow her because healing isn't just words. It's boundaries. And I had finally established mine. That night, I put my phone in a drawer, lit a candle, and sat drinking tea. No recording, no evidence, no audience, just peace. The kind of peace that needs no proof. Because my story was no longer about exposing her, but about reclaiming myself. My mother called then, her voice strained and her tone rehearsed. Margaret, can we talk? Just the two of us. I almost didn't answer, but a part of me, the child still waiting to be heard, responded. She wasted no time. Your sister is suffering. She won't leave the house. She feels targeted. I closed my eyes and counted to 3. Oh, mother, she was the target. I sighed. You've made your point, she said, as if we were playing a game. Do you want to lose your family because of this? There she was. She didn't say, I'm sorry we let her steal your life. She didn't say, I wish we had protected your happiness. Just the usual. Your boundaries are the problem. I leaned back in my chair and stared at the ceiling. Do you think I want to lose my family? I said. Do you know how many times I've lowered my spirits to keep this fragile entity together? Margaret, it's not that simple. Yes, Mother, it is. Every time I achieved something, she found a way to fall apart. Every single time. And you all advised me to understand, to share, to be kind. Silence. Did you ever ask her to stop? She didn't answer. So I continued. She's not the victim here. She just hates that I finally refused to be a substitute for her in her solitary tragedy. More silence. Then she said quietly that she didn't know you anymore. I smiled. Well, that meant I had finally changed because for once, I wasn't begging to be heard. I was letting them live in their isolation and try to figure things out on their own without my interference. We ended the call politely. But that night, I received a message from my cousin, a screenshot of a group chat I'd never been a part of. A family chat. My sister had left. My mother had stayed silent. Someone else had written. Honestly, Margaret was right. 3 words, nothing remarkable, but they affected me more than any light. I closed the message and contemplated it, not with triumph, but because I wasn't trying to destroy my sister. I'd simply stopped letting her quietly destroy me. It happened on a Wednesday. I was leaving a community center after attending a seminar on emotional boundaries when I saw the note folded under my windshield. It was nameless, just one sentence. I'm sorry. I don't know who I am without being the one who hurts you. I recognized her handwriting. My sister's, slanted with messy loops, beautiful, desperate, chaotic, just like her. I stared at it, not with anger, but with the quietude that comes when the storm has run its course. Because I realized that sentence wasn't a trap. It was a confession. She had built her identity on imitating mine, crumbling when I rose, grieving when I flourished, quietly suffocating me with 1,000 small crises that no one dared question. And now she had nothing left to draw strength from because I had cut the umbilical cord. I didn't text her. I didn't post it. I didn't even tell my mom. I folded it again and put it in my desk drawer next to the old family photos I'd been keeping out of guilt. Later that night, I sat with my daughter on the sofa, helping her practice a speech for school. What's it about? I asked. About standing up for yourself even if it upsets others, she replied. I smiled and said, that's very important. She smiled back and said, I learned it from you. At that moment, I realized the circle had been broken because I had not only protected my own happiness, but I had also taught my daughter how to value hers. On the other side of town, I imagined my sister staring at her screen, her likes fading, her messages slowing, her identity dissolving amidst the drama, layer by layer. But I felt no pity. I felt at peace because I wasn't winning her game. I had stepped out, and the life I was building now didn't need a villain. It only needed the truth. The last reception wasn't noisy. There was no confrontation, no shouting, no late-night door banging like before. Just a quiet, irrevocable moment. A family wedding. Not hers this time, but our cousin's. She came alone, sat in the back, and didn't make a fuss. I watched her from across the hall. She didn't speak to me, didn't come near, didn't grab the microphone during the speeches, and didn't pretend to faint during the cake cutting. She simply observed. And for once, she didn't try to dominate the place. Maybe she was tired. Or maybe she finally realized that no one was watching her anymore. I stood up to give a speech. A real speech, not one interrupted by artificial sobs or attempts to attract attention. The audience listened, applauded, and smiled while she remained seated. After the wedding, as I walked to my car, I found her waiting by the exit. She looked younger, older, as if she had finally seen the mirror she'd been running from for years. I liked your speech, she said. I nodded. Thank you. She paused. I'm not asking to go back, she said. I just wanted to say that I know. I know who I was and what I did. I studied her face. For the first time, I didn't see the version I'd had to protect myself from. I saw someone learning to stand without the spotlight. I'm not angry anymore, I said. Good, she whispered. You looked brighter there. I smiled slightly. Yes. We stood in silence. No hugs, no tears, no pleading apologies. Just 2 women at opposite ends of a long and complicated history. I wish we were better off, she said. We still can, I replied. But each of us separately. She nodded. And that was that. She walked to her car, and I walked to mine. For the first time in years, I didn't look back because healing isn't about blaming others. It's about freeing yourself.
अंधेरी दीवारों में खुद को ढूंढता हूँ मैं गए जो दिन सहारे थे उन्हीं को सोचता हूँ मैं तुम्हारे बहुत ही दूभरता है। अंधेरी दीवारों में खुद को ढूंढता हूँ मैं, ये जो दिन सुहाने थे उन्हीं को सोचता हूँ मैं। तुम्हारे बिन ये मौसम भी बड़ा सर्द लगता है। दिल का हर कोना बहुत ही दर्द भरता है। मेरे साए भी मुझसे अब जुदा होने को कहते हैं। तुझे खोने की राहों में ये आंसू बहने लगते हैं। कहाँ जाऊं कहाँ ढूंढूं मेरा वो साजो सामा, तो मेरी हर एक तमन्ना तू, मेरी रूह का मका तू। लकीरों में नहीं लिखा जो तुमने ख्वाब देखा था। वफा की इस कहानी में फकत एक गम ही लिखा था। सितारों से भी पूछता है पता तेरा कहाँ होगा, मगर खामोश है दुनिया, कहाँ मेरा जहाँ होगा। बस एक बार मुड़ के देख ले मेरी बेबसी की सूरत। मुझे है आज भी तेरी वफा की सख्त जरूरत। साए मेरे तन्हा सफर बस रह गया दर्द का असर। साए मेरे तन्हा सफर बस रह गया दर्द का असर, दर्द